Hey, so our interview begins. Duncan, it's a great pleasure to see you, Duncan Watmore, and formerly of Cheadle School and of a range of exclusive and impressive football clubs. So, just for those who don't know you, Duncan, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're up to at the moment, what you've done the last few years since you left Cheadle.
Yeah, so I was class of 2012 when I left Cheadle, and I have within a year of that I went to Manchester Uni, and then within a year of that I got signed by Sunderland Football Club after playing non-league for Altrincham, and I've been there for 7 years now. So yeah, I've had 7 seasons as a professional footballer with Sunderland, and I've been up with them in the Prem, and then we've had a couple of relegations, so I'm now down in League One with them. But yeah, it's been a really interesting and really good time.
Well, I remember seeing you play football only once, which was with the staff versus students in 2012, and I think you've put in about 3 goals wearing someone's borrowed trainers. So clearly, glory was beckoning. So can I start? What the viewers might not know is that I think you've done a degree in economics and finance, haven't you? Is that right?
Yes. So I initially, when I left Cheadle, went to Manchester Uni, did economics and finance for a year. Expecting to do the full 3 years there. And then obviously Sunderland came out of the blue and signed me after 1 year. So I decided to transfer my degree up to Newcastle. And so I went into second year at Newcastle University to keep going. And that was economics for business management. So it was similar degree enough, but the economics was the main kind of crossover.
Okay. I heard that you're also doing a master's now. Is that right?
Yes, doing a master's in international business leadership and management, so gone more down the business route, but I would have equally done one in economics. I enjoyed both equally, economics and business.
And you still at Newcastle?
Still, no, sorry. It's an online course. It's associated with York Uni, but it's all online.
Okay, well, let's take you back to the start of your journey in economics. I've shared with my students already the Guardian article that tells us that not only did you study economics, but you got first in economics. Congratulations. Amazing achievement. You studied economics at Cheadle. What was your experience and what are your best memories of it, if you can remember anything?
Yeah, no, I can. That's what got me into economics. I mean, I absolutely loved my time in sixth form doing economics. It was by far my favourite subject. I had Mr. Matthews and Mr. Richardson as teachers. I think Mr. Richardson's still there.
He is. Yes. Been promoted to a new job this year, which is great news.
Oh, good stuff. We'll pass on my congratulations.
I'll do that, yep.
Yeah, no, I got on really well with both of them, and they were both really good teachers. And I just really enjoyed the subject. I think I enjoyed everything we learned, but the main thing I took from it was we went to India to study obviously the country itself and also the Indian economy, and I found it so interesting how it's the largest democracy in the world. You know, China's obviously going on this explosion in its economy, and by all accounts, India is going to be doing the same at some point. So I found it a very interesting kind of time to study India, and that was probably what my main kind of memory of it was, because I've carried that fascination of India through.
Wow. Well, I don't know if you did the same paper 3 that we now do, but we do one on the Sustainable Development Goals, and India is a really big part of that story. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so yeah. I know that you're a professional footballer. You've told us a bit about that. I also read your Wikipedia a few minutes ago, which is a star-studded array of awards. Was it a revelation of the tournament for England under-20s in 2016?
Yeah.
And Jermaine Defoe described you as being like Gareth Bale. So, assuming that you didn't write your Wikipedia page, can you tell us a bit about the highs and lows of being a professional footballer?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think Defoe was more saying how I ran with the ball reminded me of Bale, not my ability. So that was more of a physical comparison.
Okay, very modest.
No, but it was. I've had some great highs and great lows. The lows being I've done back-to-back crucial ligament injuries.
Wow.
Which kept me out of play for 2.5 years. Either side of that, I tore ankle ligaments and I tore my thigh. So I had 3.5 years where I was fit for about a couple of months.
And are you better now?
Yeah, I'm fully fit now. I'm fully fit now, and so that was a struggle. That was really, really hard physically, but probably more so mentally. The injury toll it took on me over these past 3 years, and we also got relegated twice in that time. So there was a lot of negatives and lows from the football side, but also I've had so many highs. Like, for example, scoring on my Premier League debut was one.
My son remembers that, apparently. Which team was that against?
It was against Norwich.
Yeah, he does remember it then.
Oh, very good.
Although Wikipedia says that you scuffed it.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. But they all count, don't they?
Mm.
So, yeah, no, I scored a Premier League debut and winning the Toulon tournament with England under 21s is probably the highlight of my career so far as well.
Well, it's been a bit of a golden era for the England youth establishment, hasn't it? And it must have been amazing to be part of that.
Yeah, we had some serious players. I mean, our squad consisted of Pickford, Chalobah, Ward-Prowse, Redmond, Rashford, Dele Alli and Eric Dyer played along the way, Ben Chilwell. So it was a serious team, and a lot of them, Jack Grealish. So a lot of them have gone on to really excel, and yeah, it's a really good group of people. So I'm glad they're doing so well. And
you're still enjoying your football, or you would be if you're allowed to play at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. I am enjoying it. The injuries obviously made it hard, but since I've been back fit and my body's been robust enough, I've been really enjoying it again, and just hoping that we can get back playing soon, and we can. Well, hopefully, if the season goes on, we can find a way to go back up with Sunderland, because that's what all our goal is.
And you've been with Sunderland a long time. Do you develop a real love and affinity with the club in that sort of time?
Definitely, yeah. Obviously, I'm from Cheshire. I'm from around Cheadle area. From Wilms, I was born and been there my whole life. But 7 years I've spent up there, and I've really, really, grown to love the club and the fans and the people there. And it's a great place. So yeah, I'm always going to have a special place in my heart for Sunderland.
Okay, well, what I haven't put on my list, but you just made me think about it, is a lot of the people who watch this, Duncan, will be football fans and football players. What's it like to score in front of a huge crowd? Is it just an incredible feeling?
Yeah, it is. Especially when you've got a fan base like Sunderland who are so passionate, and it means so much. You get it's a feeling you can't really describe. It's an adrenaline rush that it kind of keeps you motivated all the times. When I've been injured and stuff, those are the kind of moments that you remember and you want to get back to. So it is a very special moment. It's something we are, as footballers, very lucky to receive.
And it's lovely to hear the fans have been so supportive as well. They've got a great reputation up in Sunderland. Okay, on to economics for a moment. Why did you choose to study economics? You talked a bit about your love of it at school, but was there something more to it than that?
Sorry, can you hear me, Matthew?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
I think for me, obviously initially it was by far my favourite subject in sixth form, so that made it quite easy to think of something to kind of go on to. I was like, well, I might as well do what I enjoy. But I also thought it had the best career prospects. I thought it led to so many different avenues. It's quite broad, but and there's lots of options there. And then probably the main thing for me was not only is it really interesting, I think it's probably one of the most relevant and powerful subjects out there. I mean, the whole world is run by the economy. You see every decision that's made by politicians, most of it is revolved around, economic, financial, and so these kind of decisions, and even you start to look at the economics of happiness and behavioural economics. I was really interested in that side of economics too, and that's something that I did a bit of work with in my uni dissertation as well. So it's stuff that I just found there was lots of different aspects of economics you could go down, and I thought it was the most interesting and probably relevant topic you could do.
And it sounds like you really enjoyed doing it at university too. It was a good choice for you.
Definitely, I loved it. I think one thing that really, really kind of helped my kind of love of it was The Economist. I subscribed to that quite early. I think I subscribed to it actually in sixth form. I was recommended by one of the teachers, and I just carried on since. I've had that subscription ever since. So for your students who are wanting to do economics and really interested in it, then I'd recommend an Economist subscription, because that really kind of grew my interest, shall I say, yeah.
Great advice, thank you. Well, I wanted to ask about applied economics, in particular, the fact that economics changes the way you look at life. And I wondered if it changes the way that you look at professional football with your economics training.
Yeah, definitely. I think you see so many aspects of football where economics is relevant. Contract negotiations, transfer fees, ticket prices. I think you can see it from the micro level of economics. You look at the individual fan that pays ticket and the travel to get to a football game, all the way up to the macro level of all these transfer fees and FIFA, kind of the amount of money that FIFA has put in the game, and there's so many different aspects of the economics of football. I find it really interesting, and it's something that I've actually chosen to be my dissertation on this master's on Common Goal, which is a charity which, for those who don't know, is one of the footballers, Juan Mata, sets up this idea of all footballers give 1% of their charity to a fund which will then use football to create social positive change. And I think it's a brilliant idea, but there's only 150 footballers signed up to it so far.
Really?
Yeah, including me. So I thought my dissertation was basically the idea of how can we grow this idea of Common Goal, because I think it's such a good idea that it deserves a bit more recognition.
So they give 1% of their salary and it goes into a charitable cause. That sounds a fantastic idea.
Yeah, so they distribute it across 150, I think it's 150 different charities that all use football to some way advance United Nations global goals.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, that very much ties in with what we teach on development. I mean, one example we've been looking at in microeconomics this year is the rather surprising fact that that football clubs don't actually allow the market to dictate ticket prices. They seem to impose an artificial maximum. Is that something you've thought about as well? Because we could sell Old Trafford out at 300 a head, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. I haven't actually considered it from that perspective, but that is very interesting. I think there's a lot about football which, you could argue they're doing it wrong. When you say, I mean, if you look at the Bundesliga, the German league, I think they're so much more efficient. They have such low ticket prices. They sell out every week, and I think that's a very efficient model. And I think a lot of leagues can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, it's just when we looked at it, we discovered this is in all sorts of aspects of life. Like Ed Sheeran concerts, he sets the price at 80 quid. He could sell it for 500. And the conclusion we came to, I don't know if this resonates with you, is that it's probably to generate a brand that is a bit more, inclusive. That you're not just having people who can afford 500 a head, people who Roy Keane would say could eat prawn sandwiches, that sort of person, but, a much bigger footballing public. But it creates a massive excess demand, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of why I was going on with the Bundesliga, because they've gone the opposite way and they've actually got lower ticket prices, but arguably have a better model. So I wouldn't suggest that increasing ticket prices, it might increase revenue, but in the long run, I think it would kill the game personally.
Yeah, so it's that sort of thing that makes economics fascinating, isn't it? That a short run decision that makes sense can actually kill your business in the long run. So really interesting. Okay,
exactly that. Yeah. Got to have that long term.
There's a lot of talk about the ever increasing transfer fees and clubs and the money they make out of Sky, and is it sustainable? Do you think that football is organised in a way that's sustainable economically?
That's a good question. I think if you look at some of these clubs that have very, very rich owners, that is clearly not run in a sustainable way. Such as your City and Chelsea have got the rich owners who can back them wherever and whenever, whatever the situation dictates. But they've obviously introduced financial fair play regulations to try and combat that. But I still think there's a lot of work that can be done to make football a lot more sustainable. Yeah, and it'll be very interesting to see, obviously, the effect that the COVID-19 situation is having on the football industry, and whether that affects stuff in the long run.
Okay, has it had an impact on your club?
Yes, we're all furloughed. All the Sunderland staff and players are furloughed.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, well, I hopefully get back on the pitch soon. I was going to ask you about coronavirus, actually, because as an economist, just leaving football to one side, what sort of impact do you think it's going to have on the economy in the next few years?
I think we're starting to realise how big it's going to be. I think at first people were like, we'll get over it, it'll be a minor blip, but this is going to be a long-term impact. I was reading one of the Economist articles the other day, which was talking about the 90% economy, arguing that if you look at factories are starting to get going in places like China, but there's still no flights, restaurants aren't getting any business. So as they ease lockdown, we're still going to have this 90% economy and the longer this goes on, the harder it is it's going to get out of it, which I found really interesting, this kind of idea that people, restaurant expenditure and all that is going down, and even the stuff behind it's going back up. That's going to take a while to get back up, and the longer it goes on, the harder it will be to respond from. So I think it will have a huge impact, and it's a guessing game at the moment, but it's going to be big.
Well, yeah, I mean, given that you and I, we actually used to study history together rather than economics, the economic history of this is quite scary, isn't it? In that it's hard to find a precedent for economic activity basically stopping for 3 months. But when my new students who are watching this get through to the upper sixth, I'm sure they'll be able to analyse this. I suspect we might be rewriting a few rule books economically over the next couple of years.
I definitely think it'll be a good case study in a few years. You're right.
Definitely. Okay, couple more questions, Duncan. When you finish playing, and I hope you have a long and very successful career, do you think you'll use your economics and finance skills either in football or beyond?
Yes, I hope so. Initially, I did it because I wanted it initially I did it because I didn't think I'd be a footballer, so I thought I'd use my economics straight away. And then when I started playing football, I wanted to keep it going. Not only was I interested, but I wanted it as a backup in case I got injured and I couldn't play again, which almost happened. But also because I knew football's a short career. And at the end of it, I do want to use my economics degree and business degree. And I'd love to find a way that combines both football and economics because they're two passions of mine. And if there's something out there, the job out there that combines both, which I'm sure there are a few, then that's something that I'd be very interested in.
Well, it's interesting there's a general perception football clubs aren't particularly well run. So someone with your skills, I would hope, would be snapped up to do something about that. I've got one last question for you then, Duncan. You know what's coming, which is that my son took a screenshot of FIFA and it says this. Is that is that a good likeness, and is it a good description of your skills?
Just tap on the screen what it's done.
There we go.
Oh yeah, 69 passing pace. There we go. So it's got my pace and dribbling as my main attributes. I like that. I can't complain.
It suggests you're not as good at defending. I can't believe that.
What's interesting about the FIFA actually is to get your face right. They come in and when you're in the Premier League anyway, they come in and do like an hour's filming of each player, and you'll do like facial expressions. You'll have to say loads of phrases. You'll have to act surprised, scared, celebrate, and you have to do all these celebrations. And so they work all that out to model your face.
Do you have to do the bit where you object to a referee's decision, which seems to be a classic thing on FIFA, or do they just model that?
Quite common. I think they just model that one.
Okay, brilliant. Well, the final thing I'm going to leave you with as a lifelong Arsenal fan is that you do realise you're in good company, don't you? That Arsene Wenger has a degree in economics too. So I wish you as much success as he had, although I think you have more success on the pitch already than he ever did. But it's great speaking to you. Anything else you want to give advice to prospective A-level students about economics? What should they know?
I think my main one would be, obviously, I imagine a lot of you won't have done it at this stage. And it's something that you should just really give it a go, try and enjoy it. And if it's something that, like it was for me, it's one of your passions, then I think you should, just go with it and do not regret if you want to do it at uni. I haven't regretted it one bit. It's the best subject I could have studied and I loved it.